What if I told you that there are 5 strategic questions that can stop you from marrying the wrong man? Because the truth is, most women find out a man's character after nikah. By the end of this episode, you're going to have the exact questions that expose a man's character in a very short amount of time, as opposed to months and months and months of surface level conversation, wasting your time and putting you at risk. Let's find out what they are. Let's go. Welcome to the Mindful Muslimah Speaks podcast, a safe space to learn and grow into the best version of yourself that you're always meant to be. I'm your host, Mindful Muslimah, a mom of 5, big sister to the community, and a licensed educator with 25 plus years in supporting tens of thousands of Muslim women worldwide. Now, I'm excited to share a ton of solutions to your problems on love, relationships, life balance, reconnecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, getting back on track, and more. So grab a cup of coffee and close out those tabs. These next 20 to 30 minutes are all about you. Let's get started. So I was crying in my bathroom yesterday, and not the cute kind of crying, the ugly kind of mascara runny, heartbreaking type of crying. A sister named Sarah had called me and she said, I don't even know who I am anymore. I look in the mirror and I see everyone else staring back at me. My mother's worry, my husband's demands and expectations, my kids' endless requests. But where did I go? Oh, sis, my heart just shattered because we've all been there. She told me her husband had never raised his voice during the courting stage. But after marriage, fights are a screaming match. When I asked her what questions she asked him to determine his actual character, if he had anger issues, anything like that, she looked at me like, never really got into that. And I'm going to say this to all of you. Ladies, his anger issues are not something that you should be discovering after marriage. And if guys are listening, same for her. It's something you have to know before I do. And talking to Sarah, that's when I realized that most women don't know how to do this, don't know how to determine it. They want to, but they can't. But what if you could? Because that's when I knew the message in this podcast had to go out today, because the good news is this is all preventable. Let's talk about it. Okay, so right before I go into the questions, I just want to tell you why these questions work so you can feel really good about them. They force them to tell stories, not make up stuff on the fly. These stories then reveal patterns of his behavior under pressure. You can't fake a story on the spot at this level. Authentic responses then are going to show you his true character. You also have to know how to read those. We'll talk about that in a separate time. And if these are going to happen within your marriage, you need to spot that pattern now. So let's dive into question number 1. Now, what I want to say is I do not use yes or no questions. And please do me a favor. Try not to just think you can download online some generic list of questions. That doesn't really work. At the end of the day, what you have to understand is in order to understand somebody's character, you have to ask the right things, look for the right things, and then have to see that in patterns over time. So let's go to question number 1. But I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as kind of like your strategy. Hear me out? So question number 1 is, I'm going to read it off of here. Tell me about a time when you had to choose between what was easy and what was right. Ooh, that's like a moral code question. And what you're listening for are any stories, if he comes up with them, that are about like taking shortcuts, blaming others for his setback. If he constantly has like a victim mentality, and for guys that watch YouTube lately, when this ends up on YouTube too, this goes for you too. You can look for the same in women. You can apply all this to each other, because the beauty is these are human things. Now, guys need to have very specific things, so sometimes it's slightly different. For the most part, you can flip these. Let's go into question number 2. Question number 2 is, describe a time when you were really angry with someone that you care about, how you handled it, and kind of like afterwards, what you realized. Now, why am I doing that? Why am I asking it that way? Because 1, I want them to think about the fact that a time happened. We all have negative times. We're not going to sit in front of somebody and pretend like we don't have negative relationships and negative experiences. That's like so unrealistic. So we're going to assume he automatically has had one of those. So tell me about one of those. Tell me about when that happened. How did you handle it? And then like, what were your thoughts afterwards? And we're looking in between how he handled it and the afterwards to think about, is he the type of person that has any type of reflection, right? We're trying to understand how he processes anger, how he expresses anger. Will he hurt you when he's upset? Does he take time to cool down? Does he take time to address it? Does he walk away? Just looking for those things. And even if he wants to make up any of this, you're still looking in between for the things that he doesn't say. I connected with Allah. I talk to Allah. Like if he's not saying that, you're like, oh, so like when he stresses, he doesn't do that. Check, right? Does he explode? Does he say hurtful things? Now, You might say, well, he's not going to say that in front of me for this. Well, he might not, but he might. Because when you get someone on the right story, if he actually tells a story that actually was hurtful and actually was angry and other, he might actually reveal way more. And what I want you to do is I want you to be quiet. I want you to go, that's interesting. Tell me more. The less you say, the more you create a space for silence, the more he's naturally going to talk, inshallah. And it's really important that you reveal that side of him today before you're married. Let's go to question number 3. What's something you believe strongly about that most people disagree about? So this one, you're going to act very curious because you want to be curious. You want to know like exactly what is going on. Now, I want to tell you, a lot of you sisters have a lot of fears inside of you. The majority of sisters, when I talk about why they're not getting married, it's because they're so scared. And even taking the next steps to get help is scary. They think, maybe it works for her, but it doesn't work for me. And I want to say, be really, really careful of your fear-based mentality. It's not a faith-based one. I hear this a lot. There is nothing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot do for you. There is nothing. Kun fayakun, right? Be and it is. Why are you putting limits on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Why are you thinking all the reasons it can't work? Why are you not thinking all the reasons it can? Alhamdulillah. Be careful with this fear as it rides out. Like, what about this? What about this? But what if he said that? Faith-based mentality. If you're in a good place with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't have those thoughts at that level. There might be inklings, but nothing huge. Okay? Now, when he talks about something that he believes strongly about, I want you to pay attention, first of all, what is that thing? And how does he talk about it? Look at the sparkle in his eyes. Look at the body language. He gets excited. He gets into it. Is it something like you feel like you could be into and support? And don't look for wishy-washy answers. If it sounds lame, like he made it up, be like, is that really it? You sure? I don't know. And then just let it sit. Because the truth is, if he's going to do one of those, he's going to feel like, she's disappointed. She didn't like that answer. And then he might actually come out with the right one. Do you get me? I mean, Allahu alam, at the end of the day, the truth is people will reveal themselves over time. So there's not like, this is the one question. No, that's why we're having a series of things to reveal in pattern. Okay? Let's go on to the next one. Tell me about the last time you had to admit you were completely wrong about something. What was that like for you? Now, this one, most guys don't admit. I'm not saying it's a guy thing. I'm saying even sometimes women don't admit. You'll find this one interesting. I want you to look at the immediate body language after that one. What is the immediate body language? What are you seeing? Because I've never done that. It's like you can't come up with what, you know what I'm trying to say? It's going to be interesting. Yeah. So if they're searching really hard, maybe they don't admit they're wrong. And maybe by the end you want to ask about that. So is that because you've never done that? And it's like, yeah, well, I didn't. Like, well, why is that hard for you? You know, like, no. Now, when you see things that you don't like, ladies, somebody asked me this before, you don't have to make it just like a red flag. You make it a yellow flag. A yellow flag means investigate. I feel uncomfortable. Something's amiss. I need to see more about that. Don't get married when you have a ton of yellow flags because it means that you have a bunch of unresolved things. You get me? Let's move on to question number 5. Tell me about a time when you failed at something and what you did next. You're going to be like, I'm thinking about this one for myself, right? What about you, sis? Was it something you failed at? And what did you do next? Did you give up? Did you get sad? Like, we're looking at the way he deals with disappointment, rejection, right? Does he take responsibility? Does he learn from mistakes? Does he just sit down or does he and I want you to know, these are going to make you go, You're trying to learn about him. And for anybody who's going to be like, these are interview questions. First of all, this is the most immature comment I hear when I hear men say this mostly, but women. This is not a Western movie, okay? What do you want? Do you want love? Do you want to hold hands and walk in the park? It's haram. I'm tired. It's meant to be slightly like an interview because this is you doing some type of an investigation of the person you're going to be with for the next 50 years. So the person who wants to act like you shouldn't be asking all these questions is the most ignorant nonsense I've ever heard. So if you want to go in the comments and be like, oh my gosh, I would never answer a woman who asks all these questions, beautiful. You're a huge glaring red flag of immaturity. And that means that when they go to have discussions with you as they're married, it's going to be really hard for that woman. Thank you for helping us because it's really, really important that you understand whether you're a man or a woman watching this video and somebody can't have a basic discussion and somebody feels like they're being invaded when they have to share, that just shows their level of emotional intelligence. It's something they need to work on. And I'm not saying it to stab at anyone. I'm saying for the people who say those things as if you're offending me or anybody else who uses this process, it really just shows a very low level of maturity. And I just want to say, as an ummah, we've gotten to the point where we really need to ask these questions. People are having horrible marriages. You don't want to hear the phone calls I have every day. It's really bad. Okay? And 9.5 out of 10 times it comes down to this moment before, when you could have asked, but you didn't, when you could have noticed, but you missed it. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. And that's why I know these work, because the women who use them, they don't end up like that, because we have the data and we work with women for 20 something years. You know what I mean? Now, before we wrap up, I want you to pause and ask yourself this question. What would change in your life if you never had to wonder, who is he really? What would that do for you? Think about it. No more sleepless nights, no more stress, no more like, oh, should I go look in his phone? Should I like, no more like, oh, should I worry about like the next thing I say because he's going to yell and say this? None of that, right? What if you could walk into the marriage with complete confidence that you know this man enough, because you vetted him, to know what he's not going to be like or going to be like? His heart, his values. Now, granted, you're not going to know everything about a person before you get married, but you're going to know enough where you don't walk in afraid and you don't get surprises later. So here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to think of the last guy you were interested in. But if he passed these 5 questions, would he have passed them? Be honest with yourself. Your future happiness depends on your honesty today. Well, I hope this podcast has helped. It will help you, I am sure, because we do it all the time with women, to avoid the heartbreak of discovering incompatibility later, make informed decisions about who he actually is, save years of trying with somebody who won't even be the guy you need him to be, find peace knowing that you've chosen with wisdom. You didn't just wing it, right? And as a recap, just for fun, here's those 5 questions again. Number 1, tell me about a time you had to choose between what was easy and what was right. Number 2, describe a time when you were really angry with someone that's close to you and how you handled it and what you thought about it later. Number 3, what's something you believe strongly about that most people would disagree with? Number 4, tell me about the last time you had to admit you're wrong. What was that like for you? And number 5, tell me about something you failed at and what you did next. Well, I hope these helped, and if you enjoyed this podcast and you feel like you might want some help getting married this year, check out our compatibility bundle. I'll put the link below. It is the number 1 first step I would go to get things started. But if you feel like you want to fast track your whole marriage search, let's talk on a 20-minute free call. There's a link below for that. Until next time, I will see you in the podcast. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.